Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We thank you so much for joining us today. Another show on tap today. So much to get to. Reynolds will join us at 30 for the Pewter Report. Will Turner from 247 Bulls will join us to talk USF football. They got a huge game this week coming off what was a great performance against the Florida Gators. USF becoming a big story as well. And TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy, will join us at 11:15. And we've got some great sound to bring you as well. Tom Brady going off on the NFL last night for the suspension of Mike Evans. And the Bucs add Cole Beasley to the roster, to the practice squad, and maybe elevated for this game this week with Mike Evans being suspended. And, of course, the Rays get whitewashed by the Astros last night, 4-0. We'll get into that. We'll hear from Kevin Cash and break that down as well. I did not watch, I watched maybe a few pitches of that, but just seeing that the Rays were completely frustrated offensively, I'm like, I'm going to watch football tonight, no doubt about it. Say good morning to Nick Geddes, my co-host, and also from Outsider.com. My friend, how are you this morning? We wake up to some news of Cole Beasley.
Yeah, it was a very early news this morning of Cole Beasley, which I'm excited to get into with you today. No shocker there. Tom Brady loves his veteran receivers.
You know what's a shocker? Since 2019, you know where Cole Beasley ranks in receptions out of the slot?
Let me know.
Two. Second in the league. In the NFL. Nobody wants him? Wonder what that's all about. And I think Tom Brady wants him. I think Tom Brady was looking for anybody who can catch the football. And already the receiving core is depleted. And we'll get into the Mike Evans thing here in just a little bit.
Some things are just so funny. This is and not what you're thinking of. This is a marriage that was meant to be. Cole Beasley is the ultimate white, small slot receiver. He would have looked good in New England red.
Anti-vaxxer. Anti-vaxxer.
Those are your words, not mine. Those are your things. I'm just saying he is the quintessential Tom Brady target.
Well, that's why he was available, so we'll take it.
Maybe.
Yeah, he is.
But he really is, though. Like,
haven't
we been? I feel like people have always now some way he's find himself. And if what you're saying is true, listen, Tom Brady don't care about those things.
No, he does not. He had a fake car. I didn't say that out loud. I didn't. No. Yeah, he's going to find people who can catch the dadgum football. And I think last week he got a little bit frustrated at Scotty Miller. Especially on the one play where Scotty was wide open on a critical third down, and Brady throws it on a dime, and Scotty falls down. He had 8 targets, only 3 catches.
He had seven targets, 2 catches.
Okay, yeah, 7 cards. That's not good enough. That ain't good enough. And there were obviously a couple times where I thought Scotty was getting mugged, and certainly illegal contact downfield. I don't get that. Past 5 yards, you're not supposed to be able to touch a receiver. And the New Orleans Saints are mugging guys as they run down the field. I don't get it. But whatever. Clearly Brady was frustrated, and he took those frustrations, I think, right over to Jason Light after the game and said, "Go get me a."
I believe that was in the report from Garofalo that Brady vouched for this. And
of course,
essentially, which we could have assumed, but Garofalo put it out there.
Of course he did. I mean, Brady's been on the sideline watching Cole Beasley. Was Cole there when Brady was in New England? In Buffalo, probably not.
Yeah, he was. I think he was.
Or was he still
because he was at Buffalo for a little while there.
Whatever. Brady's a student of the game. He knows good receivers when they're out there.
And he wants veterans.
You can say whatever you want about Cole Beasley. His production is unmatched. You could say he's a small white guy and he's slow, blah, 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 blah. The guy knows how to get open. He knows how to catch passes. And as you mentioned, that's something that Brady has flourished with in the slot for many, many years.
And 2 years ago, by the way, I would never do this, but there was somebody out there who gave him a MVP vote, Cole Beasley, 2 years ago. So take that for what it's worth. But he's only like not even 2 years removed from an 82 catch, near 1,000-yard season last year. He still had 80-something catches. The yards weren't there really, but the Bills had a lot of targets. I think he could still play. But again, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Scotty Miller he did himself no favors in that game. He just didn't.
He had the opportunities.
And I think Tom giving him 7 targets, that tells me that Brady clearly still trusted him, because I think that trust went out the window in that game because of the frustrations, which boiled over into that game for everybody, but Brady especially. And we have some really good quotes from that on the podcast that we can play too, where he gets in depth about that frustration.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Really good stuff from Brady on his podcast last night. So that's clearly he was saving it all for his podcast, not for free dissemination to you mere peasants in the media after the game. I will not honor you with my true thoughts of the game afterwards. You will have to come listen to my well-sponsored podcast. If you would like any of my comments, please tune in. Brought to you by Pfizer or whoever the hell they're.
Yeah, they brought it was K Jewelers actually.
K Jewelers. The kiss begins with K.
I might have to go back and find it in the episode because I didn't cut that portion out. But he sang the K little line for a second. He goes, "Every kiss begins with K."
I was listening because I listen every week. I haven't listened this week because I knew you were bringing the numbers, the quotes in. But no, Jim Gray works in Del Frisco's. They always talk about Del Frisco's.
Hertz was in there.
Hertz is in there.
USAA.
USAA. Yeah. I wonder what they're paying for that podcast.
My goodness.
We can find out. Let's Google that. But yes, you peasants in the media shall get 2 minutes of my time, but then I will spend it with Jim Gray, where I will be well compensated for my comments.
Speaking of comments,
here's one. I think I made my point.
Yeah. Speaking of comments, Jeremy Lowe asked right here, Julio IR ? No, I don't think it's any type of injury like that. No. Because he could have played maybe in the last game. He was close to playing. He was close to playing. We didn't mention it yesterday. I think Jeremy might have brought it up, by the way, the Instagram Live with Leonard Fournette. He was at one point sitting next to Julio and said something about, you didn't play this week, but we okay. You're going to be in the lineup next week. It'll be all good. So he's going to be playing this week. I'd put money on that.
There was, our competition, the other station put on their blog in the morning. There was an argument between Chris Godwin and Devin White over Jameis Winston. If you saw the live that Leonard Fournette put out, Godwin was like, "Man, why'd you say that about Jameis?" And Devin was like, "Why? You want to play friends?" Well, I guess we could play some of that audio too. You want to play friends? It was not an argument. There's no dissension within the team.
Could have been, but they were on the live, and Chris Godwin clearly refrained more what he wanted to say. But
come on, these guys are so tight. If it was an argument, it would have been a brotherly argument. But I'm on Devin White's side here. I'm not here. I'm not here to coddle Jameis.
You put on that black and gold jersey.
Hell yes.
We said it. Well, root for Jameis, but not when you're playing the Bucs.
Yeah,
it ain't happening.
Absolutely. I mean, he's public enemy number one when you play the Bucs. Sorry, that's just the way it's going to be. I was a little surprised when took issue with it, to be honest with you. But I know, of course, Godwin, he thinks somewhere down the line he'll be catching passes from Jameis Winston. I don't think Jameis Winston is coming back in a Bucs uniform, but hey, who the hell knows, right? Who the hell knows what happens after Brady? But so that wasn't an argument. There's no dissension with the team, no matter, if you got to try to trump that up to make interesting talk, I don't know. I'm not here for that. But what is interesting is the Mike Evans situation. And Mike Evans suspended yesterday after the show yesterday, so we didn't get a chance to comment on that. And I yesterday, and I'll stand by it, I think what Mike did was there comes a time when you're getting pushed around and you got to stand up for yourself. And there's no question that ignited a flame under the Buccaneers, offensive line, defense, whatever it was. They scored 17 unanswered points. I mean, you cannot argue that fact in my estimation. The Bucs were getting bullied by the Saints. There was, Marshawn Lattimore's mouthing off, and Brady had enough, and I think Fournette had enough. And that's what it came to, and it certainly spurred the Bucs. There's no question about that. But if you're Mike Evans, you can defend Brady without coming off the sideline and coming off the top rope with a full Dusty Rose elbow. You can't.
Do that again.
Dusty Rose elbow.
I'm impressed that you got that in your knowledge there,
dude. That's my time. That's all.
Well, you shit on you shit on everything wrestling that I bring to the show.
Well, that's because you don't talk Florida Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley. from Hollywood.
Hey,
Hollywood Armory
I'm a
and the
student.
Tampa Bay
I'm
Armory.
a student of the game. I
That
know
was
those things.
Very good. I'm impressed by you. The Georgia Bulldog. Remember him? Yeah. That was not. It wasn't the Georgia Bulldog. He was the Bulldog.
The junkyard dog.
Junkyard dog. Thank you for that. Junkyard dog. But yeah, the Dusty Rhodes with the bionic elbow. Yes, sir. I'm Golden Soul. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, he was. That was Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan. Dusty Rhodes was the best.
Hulk Hogan of the territories.
Yes. That was. But yeah, but for Mike Evans, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. You gotta. I understand you want to defend Tom Brady. You can. You come off the sideline and you make that violent a move, which, like in the letter from Runyon, and he said, look, you created a melee. And that's exactly what he did.
First of all, I got a problem with that. Because what John
Lattimore
Runyon
could have been suspended too.
Hold on. John Runyon, last time I checked, was a Packer. Okay. And who do the Bucs play this week? The Packers. Okay.
I remember Runyon as an Eagle.
I think he was a Packer.
He was another green.
You
might be right.
I think he was a Packer. Yeah. So where's the conflict of interest there when Derek Brooks, who's supposed to hear appeals, probably is going to have to step aside because of conflict of interest here? Just reading into some things here.
Interesting.
And the NFL, in my opinion,
very interesting.
In the NFL, in my opinion, shooting themselves in the foot, you're damaging your product for a big game.
Sure.
And to me, it just comes off as, well, Rodgers has no targets. We're just going to make sure Brady has no targets now. It's just, I always feel like there's these ulterior motives. I'm conspiracy theorist and anything the NFL does, I'm not shocked.
And they deserve it.
They deserve it
because there's no consistency in their discipline whatsoever. They just willy-nilly do whatever they want just to make it
there
better.
You go. Jeremy helping me out. His son plays for the Packers now.
Come on, dog. Come on, dog. What is that? Put that up. What does he say?
Yeah, he says his son plays for the Packers.
Come on now. Now, the only thing I have to say, though, is, and I said yesterday that probably he shouldn't be suspended, but honestly, he's a repeat offender. He comes off the sideline with a very, very violent move. It wasn't a punch, but Lattimore threw a punch. Aren't you supposed to be suspended if you throw a punch? You were.
I thought so. Lattimore has been involved in all these things.
Yes.
Maybe he's been the victim of some of them.
How does he not get suspended?
I couldn't tell you. Yeah. But we're investigating Bruce Arians on the sideline.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we found out that's because the Saints decided not to open up a box for them on the sideline. So
yes,
there you go. And apparently this is how it happened. According to Rick Stroud, this is new since Brady got here, coincidentally.
What?
That they have not allowed the Bucs to have their own little box upstairs anymore. So where they've had to move personnel downstairs.
And I think I also heard on Rick's podcast that he said that there were spaces in the press box. A lot of times you'll see the front office in the press box. Yeah. I'll never forget watching the Bucs playoff game in 2002 with Rich McKay was sitting right behind me in the old vet press box. We were both freezing our ass off because there was no heat in the freaking vet press box and it's 7 degrees outside. So yeah, and Rich was right behind Rich, and I forget what his right hand man who was right next to him, and it was just really interesting commentary the whole game. Listen to the general manager talk about the game, and he was demonstrative. It wasn't like he was trying to hide his, he's like bitching at the refs. It was everything. It was fantastic. But so I guess Bruce and Jason Light didn't want to sit with the media because I don't blame them because they're not going to hold their tongues. And then the media is going to write it down, and then it's going to be, I get that.
And I think Bruce wants to be down there. I mean, Jason's always down there for the most part, actually. He likes being down there, but Bruce is usually upstairs. But I think the competitor and Bruce still wants to be down there and in the action. Sean Payton said that yesterday on Colin Cowherd. He said that game, when I watched that fight happen, he's like, this was the first time that I was upset that I was not still coaching. I wanted to be out there. Like I saw Bruce, and I was like, why am I not there? And I feel like that's how Bruce feels probably.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, he wants to get in the fray.
Yeah, and he was in the middle of it.
He was in the fray. He was bitching. He was chirping at the refs.
It was him and Lattimore who were going at it first. They showed one of the videos backed out, and it's Arians who's yelling at Lattimore.
Is that a bad thing?
I mean, does it overstep his boundaries a little bit?
I love Bruce, and I love his fire. But, if you look at this analytically, he could conceivably get get a penalty called on him.
Yeah.
He could conceivably, which you don't want to hurt the team. And if you know you can't hold your tongue, and I don't think Bruce can hold his tongue because he didn't when he was a head coach. I think I don't think that's the proper place.
Do we need to get him a get back guy?
We need to get him a shut up guy.
Well, maybe Jason could be the get back guy.
I don't see how that would be a great cutaway shot. I mean, that would be a fantastic cutaway shot to show the entire game. In fact, mic him up. If you mic up Bruce Arians, I'm listening to that the whole game. No question about it. But I don't know. I mean, are you in some way usurping a little bit of Todd Bowles' power by being down there on the sideline and chirping at the refs? Or are you helping out by getting in the refs' ear and maybe planting a seed for a call or two? I mean, you could look at it in a positive way. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on that. I think you'd have to ask Bowles and Arians and let them kind of decide. But I think you could go either way with that. I do think, having him, down on the sideline, if he sees certain things, can certainly help you. I don't think there's any question about that. I would, I don't necessarily know if we want to have a headset on Bruce Arians, but there are certain matchups and things. I'm sure when you have a pair of eyes like that have that much experience, you want to have that input in the game. So yeah, I'm here for it. All right, before we get to the Brady sound, I want to get in some of these comments because you guys are great to comment. Really appreciate you jumping in here, guys. This one is from Jordan Gomillion. You would think Lattimore would learn his lesson by now. Every time he starts his stuff with the Bucs, his ass ends up on the grass. But I bet even Brady could knock Lattimore over. Well, bottom line is Lattimore got Mike Evans suspended twice now. So yeah, he
does his job well.
He really does. He's a prick, and he's a little prickly dude, and that's what he does. Yeah, his son plays for the Packers. Said Scott Reynolds report that. Oh, well, we got Scott coming up, so we'll get some more clarification on that. I mean, because that does appear as a gigantic conflict of interest.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm like, Does Derek Brooks have to step aside now because he's the appeals officer and it's conflict of interest for him? I mean, I don't know how this works at all, but again, the NFL, who knows?
Yeah, and that's the thing, Lattimore. If you're baiting these guys into getting penalties and getting suspended, you win. You win. It's as simple as that. You win. And Mike Evans has got to control his emotions anymore. Mike, we played the soundbite last week, did we not? Going into the game where he said, you got to control your emotions. You got to make sure you got to play emotionally, but you got to make sure you control it and don't take the bait. He took the bait.
Taking the lot.
Yeah, he took the bait. And I thought it was kind of past that. And as much as I think, and I'll stand by my statement yesterday, I think there comes a point in the game where you're getting pushed around and guys are talking shit that you need to step up and turn it around and say, we're not going to take that crap anymore. And, but I think you can do that without coming off the bench and violently pushing him. If he comes out there and doesn't push him and just bodies him up and gets up in his face, I don't think he's suspended.
Yeah.
I don't think he's suspended.
It's tough, though, because Brady was in the thick of it. And when you see your quarterback, especially when it's Tom Brady in the middle of it, and you see a guy like Lattimore who's bound to do something, you want to get in there.
Well, Lattimore just threw a punch at Leonard.
Exactly. Yeah. And Brady's right there.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going to happen. And I saw another angle of Mike Evans shouting at the ref after they ejected him, and he looked at him. He goes, "It's effing Tom Brady, man. Right. What do you want me to do?"
Right.
And I think even Evans mentioned that. He's like, "I'm protecting my quarterback. It's Tom Brady." It's like, I get that, but unfortunately, in the modern day NFL, when you do stuff like this, and especially when you're a repeat offender, the NFL doesn't want this in their game, which is crazy because you're going to tell me a push to the ground is more violent than every play that happens.
But it's controlled aggression. I mean, every play is a fight, in essence. Every play is a fight, but it's a fight within rules. And you have to stick. And one of the rules are you just can't come off the bench out of nowhere when there's no play going on and knock the crap out of some guy. You can't do it. You're going to get thrown out of the game. But I think getting ejected from the game is a lot. Mike is suspension without pay. That's close to $1 million fine. That's close to $1 million.
And I thought you could have just made a statement with a heavy fine. Yeah. I really thought you just could have.
Yeah, I do too. And I said yesterday I didn't think it was suspension worthy, but I've heard some people talk about it. I mean, and they do try to have some criteria for this. And one of the criteria is if you come off the bench, but he
was on the field.
That was just an offensive play, right? So he was on the field. Maybe he came from the bench area as he exited the field, maybe. I mean, maybe that's what they're thinking, but that was part of the play. I don't know. There seems to be enough gray area here that in a big game like this, when your son's playing for the Packers, that you shouldn't be suspended.
I want to know, because I'm just trying to think of other past instances off the top of my head not involving Mike. Did Gronk get suspended when he straight up just elbowed that dude in the back of the head against the Bills a few years ago?
He didn't get suspended for a game. No,
I don't even think he got ejected, did he?
No, I don't think he did.
And I'm just again, I understand that was years ago, whatever. But if we're going to compare incidents here,
well, that's the thing. It's like the NFL.
There's no clarity on what's what.
There's no consistency. There's no clarity. It seems to be just willy nilly, whatever they feel like doing. In that particular...
he did get suspended for that one.
Oh, he did.
He got a game.
Okay, I didn't really.
He got a game. I'm glad I looked that up here. But even though I thought that was way worse than what Mike did, for example, but I guess they group everything together.
What Mike did was pretty bad. A kind of a blind side, shove. I mean, you can really injure a guy doing that. So I don't know. I hate to rip on Mike, but look, no question, a 1-game suspension is really, really going to hurt this football team, especially if Chris Godwin still can't go and if Julio can't go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real that's that could be. You could honestly say that could cost you the game.
Oh, that's why Cole Beasley's in here today, and he's going to be elevated for this game.
Oh, there's no question.
Scotty's on borrowed time this week.
I mean, but it's Cole Beasley.
He ain't Mike Evans.
Yeah, he ain't Mike Evans, and you could say that this could, a game this close and this big, which could be the tiebreaker for the number one seed. For the number one seed, taking yourself out of the game in this situation is a killer.
Yeah.
It's a killer. I mean, I hate to say it. I love Mike Evans. I think he's one of the best players, the best men, what he does in the community. I could not love this dude any more than I love this dude as a player. But that's just, and I understand the emotion of the game. I understand all that. It's just, and I listen, I don't know how these guys, especially when Matt Lattimore's chirping and talking shit the whole time, I don't know how they don't punch each other every game. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know if I'd ever be able to. It's got to be so hard to control your emotions in a game like this. It's got to be really difficult. But that being said, got to do it.
I tell you what, though, you know who needs to step up now, though, is Russell Gage. Okay,
yes,
this guy was brought in. He wasn't cheap, by the way.
Yeah.
3 years, $30 million, if I recall. It's not cheap for a receiver. He was really good in Atlanta. Through 2 games, he's been a disappearing act that Russell Gage has. So in this game, if I'm looking at it, if Godwin doesn't play, even if Julio plays, Russell Gage is probably going to be your receiver that's out there more often than not, correct? He'll play more than Julio, even if Julio's out there, because I don't think Julio's playing 75% of the snaps or more. So if you're Russell Gage, I need more from you for this game. I think this is a Russell Gage prove-it game, more so than ever.
Hell yes.
Because this is what he was brought in for, by the way, for stuff that happens. Because we knew this wide receiving core was never going to play a game healthy together.
Yeah.
Probably not. It lasted literally a quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is why Russell Gage was brought in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And these guys have to step up, and the running game has to step up, and the defense has to step up. And, again, that's why this team, I think, is going to be so good. And they're not even close to what they're going to be at the end of the season if Brady stays healthy. Because I think this offense by the end of the season is going to be humming.
Well, because Gronk's going to be here, and we're going to be throwing seams all day. And
I agree.
Yeah.
You think he went to the mat for Cole Beasley? What do you think he said about Gronk? And honestly, I gotta do this. I gotta call out Gronk.
You're gonna call out Gronk right now?
I'm gonna call out Gronk right now. You know what? Look right in the camera here. You're being selfish.
Oh my gosh.
You're being selfish.
Selfish.
You're selfish. Dude made you an underwear model. He made you an underwear model. And a Hall of Famer too, but underwear model. Okay? I don't have to say any more.
I think you're being selfish.
No, but seriously, he made you a Hall of Famer, bro. He made you a Hall of Famer. He made you $100 million. Tom freaking Brady. He needs you. He needs you. Remember a couple weeks ago, the Phoenix tattoo rising from the ashes? This offense is in the ashes, bro.
No.
It's in the ashes. And, I hate to tell you, but Kyle Rudolph ain't you. Kate Otten, O'Keefe, nah, none of them. Tom Brady's quarterback rating, the difference between when you're on the field and off the field is Andy Dalton. That's right. When you're Tom Brady's numbers, when you're not in there, Gronk, are Andy Dalton-like. And you're going to sit there and watch your guy, Tommy, remember Tommy and Gronky? Your guy struggle because he doesn't have his booby, his security blanket. What are you doing? You're modeling underwear. You're running around Las Vegas throwing pool parties while your boy is languishing. He's got 2 touchdown passes through 2 games, and there you sit. What is wrong with you? Come on, man. You're Gronk. You're Superman. You walk through those doors, everything changes. Everything changes. They couldn't get the ball in the red zone. They couldn't get a touchdown against the Saints. Come on, man. What are you doing? You can't freaking sell tequila and beat and cruises for the rest of your life. Well, maybe you can't. But he needs you now. So stop being selfish. Tell Camille you're going back to play for a little bit. 1 more season. That's it. It's not too much to ask. And we'll pay you $6 million, $7 million to do it. We already cleared the cap room. Come on. Stop being selfish.
You want him to leave Camille?
Well,
it's got to be pretty hard. I mean, come on now.
No,
you want him to leave the lovely Camille to go play football?
Not leave, but you get to go home to her at night. It's not.
I don't know.
Yeah, she'll be there. She ain't going anywhere. You kidding me? He's Gronk. Yeah, come on, man. Look, Tommy's hurting.
He'll be back.
Let's go.
He'll be back.
Let's go. Come on.
Oh, thanks. Now I got to make the podcast explicit today.
Yeah,
thanks.
I said freaking.
Thanks.
I said freaking. All right. We got a lot of comments coming in today.
JP versus Gronk.
No, thank you.
You know what? I mean,
talking about getting Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, I don't want any part of that.
You got 30 years on him.
Yeah, and there's that.
And yet your body probably is in better shape than his is at the moment.
I don't know. I seen him in his underwear.
Maybe.
That didn't sound right at all, did it? Pat Williams says, what does he say here? Gronk's got to come back and help the cause. Yes. Battle Royale. Yes. Everybody's on my side. But he'll probably come back after game 12. We don't have time for that. We need him now.
Are we going to get 12 wins without him?
No, we ain't get 12 wins without him. We need him now. Come on, Gronk. All right. Let's listen to Brady last night on the podcast where he's allowed to talk. For the price of a couple million, I'll give you my thoughts.
There are controlled hits, as you said, in the game of football, and there are controlled media.
Yes,
this is Tom Brady right here.
That's right. Let's start with the frustration of the Saints game.
Or let's do the Mike one first, actually. Okay. I got that one queued up here.
All right, let's do that.
Well, it was an emotional game against a team that we have a tough time with. And I think everyone prior to the game felt very intense. The game was intense. It was a hard-hitting game. And, Mike and Marshawn, they've had their own battles over the years. And look, I think just sometimes the emotions get the best of us. And I love Mike. And the fact that Mike would come out there to defend me, it means everything in the world to me as a teammate and a friend. And Mike knows how I feel about him. So in the end, emotions are a part of sports. Sometimes they boil over, and they obviously did yesterday. And it's a unfortunate circumstance. I don't think it deserved any type of suspension. I think that's ridiculous. Hopefully we can move past it, get to a better place. And, in the end, I appreciate Mike having my back. I know he'll learn from it. And he knows that we all have his back.
Ridiculous is what he said to Roger Goodell and Mr. Runyon. Ridiculous. I've said what I've said about the suspension. I do think there's gray area here, and I do think there's conflict of interest here. And we'll talk with Scott Reynolds here in just a few minutes to get a little bit more clarity on that. And all right, let's do. Want to do one more from Brady? Yeah, let's do, and then we'll do a little bit more later on. Brady's frustration of the Saints game.
Just not executing very well, and I think that it's been something that's come up with the Saints now. The last, in the 4 regular season games against them, we have not found a way to get out of our own way. There's too many unforced errors. There's too many plays where, we have the opportunity to do the right thing and make the play, and we just don't. Missing passes, not coming up with balls that we're capable of. missing things that we just shouldn't miss. And I think those things come to a head. We're out there fighting, and there's a lot on the line for all of us. And physically, it's a challenge. It's a battle out there, and especially against good teams. So, we didn't score any points in the first half. That's exhausting. It's not going to be good enough to beat anybody. So I think the sense of urgency is very important. And at the same time, remaining poised is really important too, which I didn't do a very good job of that yesterday. And I've got to be really mindful of that going forward and getting my emotions in a good place. So it allows me to be the best player I can be. I think there's an importance where you can become too overly emotional, which I definitely think I was yesterday. And I've got to find a better place to be at so I can be a better place for my teammates.
That's very revealing. Overly emotional.
And that was in response to the tablet toss, which that poor tablet, probably in concussion protocol still after that one. But
remember when Microsoft first bought the sponsorship with the tablets and everything?
Oh yeah.
And Belichick just threw it down and then went to the microphone afterwards and said those things are like shit. He just totally crushed the Microsoft's playing like $1 billion to the NFL. And Belichick's like, yeah, those things ain't worth shit.
They paying a dime to Bill.
They're terrible. Thanks, Bill. I'm sure Microsoft was thrilled with your comments. All right, quick break. When we come back, the great Scott Reynolds will join us, and he's going to clarify this apparent and ridiculous, as Tom would say, conflict of interest in the suspension being handed down by Mike Evans. I think this is a story. Let's get it right from Scott Reynolds when we come back. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595, or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com. They are Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency. So if you're having issues with your spouse or an employee or trying to find somebody, need any type of private investigation, give them a call over there. It's real easy to find them. Emerginginv.com is the website. Really friendly people. It's a free call. Just give them a call and say, here's what's going on. Can you guys help me? Because you don't want to try and do these investigations yourself, folks, going on, snooping around social media. Get the experts to do it for you so you get trusted information in life's biggest decisions. So if you're having some thoughts and you just want to make a call to find out what it's going to cost, what the process is like, really, really easy. Give Rachel a call over there. D'Antonio, had her on the show last Friday, and she'll talk you through the whole process. So Emerging INV is the website. All right, let's bring in our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Turner Report as we talk about this Mike Evans suspension. And Scott, I'm hearing, first of all, good morning to you. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing better than Mike Evans today. I'm not suspended, so I'm going to be at the stadium on Sunday.
Yes, you will be, as will I. But I one of our listeners chimed in and said you reported something about Runyon's son. It plays for the Packers or something.
Yeah.
He's the one who made the decision. That seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest, my friend.
It's a huge conflict of interest. It has the Buccaneers front office really upset because John Runyon was the one who heard I didn't say heard, but he issued the suspension, did the investigation. And of course, it was only Mike Evans. It was not Marshawn Lattimore who instigated the whole thing and who also took a physical shot at Leonard Fournette, nor was it Marcus May who came in, the safety for the Saints. He didn't even get flagged on the play. He did, he might get fined, I'm sure, by the league, but he wasn't suspended either. And May came in and punched Evans and then tackled Evans and knocked him to the ground. So the Buccaneers feel this is completely one-sided. And to your point about John Runyon, yes, the former NFL offensive lineman has a son who is an offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers. Now, let me see here. Which game is Mike Evans suspended for? Oh, yeah, the Packers game. So come on, this is just absolute kangaroo court stuff here from the NFL. To allow this conflict of interest to take place, it just screams inappropriateness. And the funny thing is, the two jointly appointed by the NFLPA and the NFL, the jointly appointed ex-players that hear appeals are James Thrash, former, I think, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm correct, and Mr. Derek Brooks, number 55, right? Former Buccaneer legend and Hall of Famer. And so I think that Brooks would probably have to recuse himself, right? Because, I don't think Derek Brooks likes the Packers, who is the Bucs opponent this week. And I think Derek Brooks genuinely likes the Buccaneers. So I think if Brooks is going to have to recuse himself, then Runyon should have recused himself, especially this week when the Bucs are playing the Packers. So it just gives the Packers, I think, an edge if Mike Evans is not playing, and that's what the ruling essentially came down to.
All right, well, let's take that out of the equation here, and let's just try to be as objective as I can, because I trust you to be objective.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to be objective about this as well. And Mike is a repeat offender.
Correct.
Exact same situation in 2017. Almost exact same people involved.
Yeah.
Comes off the sideline, repeat offender, violent move. I think if he just comes off the sideline and gets in the melee and starts grabbing people or pushing people, he's not suspended. But
probably a different story. Yeah.
The hit. I got to say, if it was anybody else, I'd say that probably deserves a suspension. But again, the NFL is so wishy-washy and not consistent in this. We can't go to precedent and say, okay, this is the same as that.
Correct.
But I think I have to say, it's worth a suspension. But I'll also say some of those Saints should be suspended as well.
That's what I'm saying. I think that Marcus May and Marshawn Lattimore should also be suspended, because those three players, Evans, Lattimore, and May, were the guiltiest of parties out there doing the punching, the pushing, the shoving, the knocking to the ground, etc. So I think that I'm okay with Evans getting suspended, but not singled out.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would feel better about this exact same suspension if the person levying the suspension did not have a wild conflict of interest in this game with his son, John Ryan Jr., playing for the Packers this Sunday in Tampa Bay. I just think that makes the NFL look bad, and it makes the NFL look stupid. But you know what? This league is stupid. Seriously, the NFL, go back to that game. It's like, listen, I give the officials credit for ejecting Evans and Lattimore. I think that's fair given, what transpired there, because guess what? If they're not ejected from the game, they're going to get back into it, right? Like, I applaud the NFL refs for that move. But JP, there were 3 egregiously bad calls for unnecessary roughness in that game. Keanu Neal's hit on Jameis Winston, which was an impossible to stop split second, right? When Jameis Winston hits the ground, Keanu Neal, there's nothing he could do. It would take an act of God or Professor Charles Xavier, right, from the X-Men, just stopping time, right, for that not to happen. Right. And then you've got Levante David, whose job when he was hitting Chris Olave in the back with his forearm, which it's a legal hit, was to prevent him from getting one more yard, right, and getting a first down. That was a key third down stop for the Buccaneers right there. And so what is Levante David, again, in the act of already going for the tackle as gravity is happening? This is a natural law of gravity. Chris Olave is falling down, and you've got Levante David already in the act of trying to make a hit / tackle. Yeah. And it's so ticky-tack that gets called. Then you've got, who was the announcer? Greg Olson pointed out, for the Saints play. And this did benefit the Bucs. Was it a makeup call? Maybe, okay, but shouldn't have been called regardless. Exactly. The unnecessary roughness hit on Cam Brate when it was a form tackle. And it's like the NFL is trying to legislate physicality out of the game. They're trying to sissify the game of football, and it's disgusting. You want to protect offensive players? That's fine. You can do that. But I think most fans and most players want to see the cheap shots taken out of the game. Right. And I think if you were to look at all 3 of those plays objectively and say, were they cheap shots? The unequivocal answer is no.
No. And I see cheap shots that aren't called. Plus, there were probably 3 or 4 holding calls. And it seemed like every one of these calls was taking a stop to a first down. Right. They were critical calls in the game against both teams. A lot of ticky-tack holding calls.
It really was, yeah.
This is one of our guys that comes on the show, Brady Tinker, said this the other day, and I've been saying it for a while, and I think Rondé's said this as well. We got to get former players officiating this game, because these accountants and lawyers, seriously, these lawyers, they adjudicate the game like a lawyer. They do like, the tip of that helmet may have hit that helmet, or he got on, Keanu Neal hit him a little up higher while he was actually just, split second he was down. Right. If you freeze the frame there, when the players who played the game understand it's inertia. It's called inertia.
Exactly.
Body tends to stay in motion. You can't stop it. So they're stupid calls because they don't understand the spirit of the game.
Correct. JP, you just nailed it. There's the spirit of the game, right? And then there is the emphasized intent, and these referees are trying to decipher in a split second intent, right? And that is almost impossible to do. And what I mean by that is well, here's the thing: Levante David did not intend to hurt Chris Olave. Keanu Neal did not intend to hurt Jameis Winston, right? And that Saints defender did not intend to hurt Cam Brate. But the way the NFL is emphasizing certain things, right, is to protect the player. It's like these refs are misinterpreting what's happening as intent, and it's clearly not. And I agree with you. I've never thought of that premise, but yeah, I think that maybe getting some former NFL players involved in NFL officiating would be good. Again, you have to be on guard about biases and not just like if you have Antoine Winfield, for example, right? He's played for multiple teams, right? And then his son plays for the Buccaneers, right? So like that might remove him from several games on a week. It might make scheduling difficult for some NFL players, but I think for the good of the game, they got to look at it.
Yeah, I saw Tony Pollard yesterday, when the Cowboys were playing. He makes this unbelievable run and dives for the end zone. And we spent 15 minutes replaying it to see if he crossed the line. And they literally put the ball at like the 2-inch line.
Right. Yeah.
And he runs it in the next play.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, man, the guy just made an amazing play, and we're going to slow it down and just come on, that's a touchdown. There's a touchdown.
I agree. Honestly, there's a part of me that wishes we would just scrap instant replay altogether.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you have to live with bad calls. And I mean, look at the Saints. Look at the poor Saints. I mean, they just got shellacked by the Buccaneers, right? In 2020, they didn't win the Super Bowl when they thought they were going to. Tampa Bay did, by way of going, over to the Superdome and intercepting Drew Brees 3 times, including his last NFL pass. I understand why the Saints are salty. And they're even more salty because instant replay did not help them out on a couple of calls that should have been. So my whole thing is, if we're still arguing about, wrong calls after instant replay, I'm almost like, go back to the damn 80s when there wasn't any, and just let sleeping dogs lie. A bad call is a bad call. Right. Because instant replay is still not getting things right.
Exactly. Still does. It almost causes more arguments than it ever has.
Yeah.
All right. Cole Beasley is added to the roster. Very interesting move for the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, by Tom Brady.
Rumor has it Cole Beasley can catch the ball. So I think that's why he's here.
By the way, in the slot where he has the second most catches in the NFL from the slot since 2019, and he's still out on the street because he's an anti-vaxxer. Let's just be honest about that. So I think this is a good move for the Buccaneers. I mean,
I think it's a great move. Yeah,
they get an interior offensive lineman, but they're not out there.
Yeah,
but Cole Beasley was. What do you think about this move?
I like the move because Tom Brady wants it, and Tom Brady's going to be the guy throwing the ball, right? It's not Todd Bowles, it's not Jason Light, it's not John Spytek. It's Tom Brady. Get Tom what he wants, and if Tom Brady wants Cole Beasley, then get him Cole Beasley. The interesting thing is, and the point that I've always argued, and this kind of poo-poos the Justin Edelman sentiment when all these rumors were swirling. What Edelman come out of retirement and join Brady in Tampa. And obviously Cole Beasley gets the first shot at this. But this wide receiver position, this slot position in Tampa, you need a bigger, more physical body in there to take part in the running game. So we know that Cole Beasley's been incredibly productive in the slot. He's got most of his reps in the slot. He can also play outside too. He's not exclusively a slot guy. But you wonder if this playbook's going to change a little bit to accommodate some of those plays for Cole Beasley, or is it going to be just kind of a tell for defenses? Meaning, when you have Chris Godwin in there, right, he can perform any role, which is taking a nickel corner straight down the seam, or a linebacker, or matching up with the safety and running a deep out across the middle of the field. He can also crack back on an unsuspecting linebacker on an outside toss. He can also go in motion, essentially lining up as a move fullback into the hole. We've seen Chris Godwin do a lot of things from the slot. Same thing that Larry Fitzgerald did in Arizona for Bruce Arians. Same thing Hines Ward did in Pittsburgh. Same thing Reggie Wayne did in Indianapolis. Those are bigger bodied guys. Cole Beasley makes Scotty Miller look like a giant. Cole Beasley is 5'8", 174 pounds. So I don't know that they're going to be asking him to play that traditional slot role that Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich want and need in that slot receiver. They're probably going to just have to use him not in the running game. And I'm not saying anything away from his lack of toughness. Cole Beasley's a tough nut. He is. But how effective can he be as a blocker at 5'8", 174 pounds? So it might be a little bit of a tell when you've got Cole Beasley in the game, just like when you have Kokeeft in the game. It's really becoming a tell. It's going to be a running play. So the Bucs are going to have to be careful about their tendencies when Beasley gets activated, but the guy will get open and catch the ball.
I made an impassioned plea before you came on for Gronk to come back. I went as far as to say he's being selfish. He's leaving Tommy out to dry.
He was being very rude. Very rude to Gronk.
I said, now, He made Gronk an underwear model, and now he doesn't want to play football.
Well, the Bucs are 2-0, JP. Do they need Gronk right now, or do they want Gronk?
Have you seen the red zone offense? Yes, they need him. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, yes. Listen, this is 2002 all over again, JP. You and I were here for it. When John Gruden came, all these people out there that say, John Gruden won the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team. No, he did not. Why? Because more than half of that 53-man roster that was out there on Super Bowl Sunday never played it down for Tony Dungy. Okay, if you want to say Tony Dungy's defense helped the Bucs win Super Bowl 37 in 2002, by all means, you're exactly right. And John Gruden totally revamped the offense in terms of scheme, but also personnel, right? I mean, more than half of the offensive starters were players that he imported, right? I mean, Keenan McCardell, Joe Jaravicius, Ken Dilger, Ricky Dudley, Kerry Jenkins at left guard. You had Roman Oben at left tackle. They moved Kenyatta Walker from left tackle to right tackle, right? So Michael Pittman. So you had a lot of different parts on offense. And Gruden was smart enough in 2002, this offensive genius that came over from the Raiders. He knew it was going to take some time because he had a whole new offensive coaching staff that he had to teach the system to his coaches. And then they had to teach it to the players. It was going to take till about mid-season before this Bucs offense got humming. Yep. And that's why he wisely went to the defense and said, you Buccaneer defenders, man, you think you're great players. You think you have a great defense here. Well, great defenses score touchdowns, man. And he challenged them to score 9 defensive touchdowns. And by God, they did in the Super Bowl. They had the last 3. But before that, go back in week 2, right? When the Chris Redmond Baltimore Ravens were getting ready to score on the Bucs defense, Derek Brooks goes for one of his many pick sixes that year, and they beat a Baltimore team, not even scoring 20 points in that game. And so Todd Bowles knows that, and Tom Brady knows that. In his press conference last Thursday, he was talking about the Bucs offense. New left guard in Luke Gedeke, new center in Robert Hainsey, new tight end in Cade Otton, new tight end in Keith, new wide receiver in Julio Jones, new wide receiver in Russell Gage. New right guard in Shaq Mason. Now he's got new left tackle in Josh Wells. Oops, new left tackle in Brandon Walton. It's new running back in Rashad White. It's gonna take time for this offense to gel. This is not going to be the 30 points per game offense that we've become accustomed to the last 2 years. There's no Ali Marpet up front. There's no Ryan Jensen up front. There's no Alex Kappa. There's no Gronk. It's going to take some time. And in the meantime, Todd Bowles has been telling his defense, we got to carry the day. Yeah. And for us old timers in the market, this looks an awful lot like 2002, man.
Yes, it does.
Hey, speaking of the defense there, because they've been the star of the show through 2 weeks, and I've noticed there's been 0 snaps for Sean Murphy Bunting, right? And obviously Antoine Winfield goes to nickel.
Right.
Is it as easy as I can say that singular move has changed the game for this defense, the makeup, whatever you want to call it, of not having snaps for Bunting and moving your best player to that nickel position?
I think that's part of it. And I would also suggest that Winfield is this year's Rondé Barber, since we're still sticking with that 2002 theme, where Barber was an outside corner who moved inside to nickel on third downs and obvious passing downs, right? And we're seeing Winfield as the free safety in base defense, right? In their 3-4 base defense. But obviously most teams play nickel almost all of the time, including the Buccaneers. So he doesn't come off the field. He moves inside to the slot. Now, most NFL teams, even back in Rondé Barber's day, the slot corner was the guy that came off the bench on third downs, right? He was the third string corner who came, and played inside. Well, Barber was actually a starter, the number 1 guy for most of those years, and he moved inside, and they brought the guy off the bench, whether it was Dwight Smith, right, for some of those years, whether it was Donnie Abraham, et cetera. So there were. That was the train of thought there. Now you've got Logan Ryan coming in at safety, and he's just a better player than Sean Murphy Bunting. So, Nick, you're right. Sean Murphy Bunting is not as good as Antoine Winfield was in the slot. And from a personnel evaluation standpoint, just in terms of sheer talent and experience, Logan Ryan's a better player than Sean Murphy Bunting. So having that guy in the field instead of SMB is huge. And look no further. The unsung play of that game, we can talk about Jamel Dean's end zone interception and the pick six by Mike Edwards. But at the 11-yard line, when the Saints were getting ready to score, late in the third quarter, almost at the very end of the third quarter, Logan Ryan forces the fumble on Mark Ingram, recovered by Carl Nassib. That was the unsung play of the game right there.
Agreed. Yeah, no question about it. And we said that. Logan's he's a playmaker. He has been his entire career.
And could the other part of the defense, too, be a more controlled Devin White, which he talked about in the offseason, and I feel like through 2 games, he has delivered on that so far.
Yep. Yeah, he missed some tackles. He'll be the first to tell you that on Sunday. I thought he was actually better in Dallas than he was in New Orleans. But if this is the drop-off we're seeing right, from 1 week to the next, where Devin White doesn't play as good and still gets 11 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble and a pass breakup, I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that. So, I think that this is a much more under control. And if you notice, too, go back and look at the film. Todd Bowles made a very interesting adjustment with Devin White. And he got 1 sack. He should have had another, but he was in the pocket, forced Jameis to stay in the pocket, and Vita Vea and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka split that sack, right? And listen, good on Jameis for doing all those crazy, wacky, workout videos in the offseason where he's, getting a broom swung at him and he's ducking and bobbing and weaving and all that stuff. They work. They work because he ducked out of 1 sack. Now he got sacked by JTS and Vita Vea, but it worked on the Devin White sack. But the one thing that Todd Bowles is doing is he's not always lining up Devin White right there in the A-gap, right before the snap, telegraphing to the offensive line and the quarterback that he's coming. Because those times, if you go back and look at the Mac Jones would-be sack, right? The sack he should have had against Daniel Jones against the Giants last year. He lines up right there and comes screaming through the A-gap right at the snap. The quarterback's in shotgun, and all the quarterback does is move one way, and Devin White just misses him. But what we saw in that sack and then also in the miss sack was a delayed blitz, right? And it gives Devin some time to use that speed, not just off the line of scrimmage, but to get a full runny go, right? And have that twist, those tackle twists in front and create that passing lane. And then Devin comes in full speed, right? And that quarterback is not suspecting it at that time. Exactly. And that's allowed Devin White to cash in on 3 sacks already. Guys, this guy had 3.5 sacks in all of last year. 15 more games to go.
I love that end zone view of that sack, too, because I don't know if Devin did this on purpose, as this is part of his technique, but he delays and he tucks in behind Vita Vea.
Yes.
And he's at full speed, and at the last second, he goes around him.
Yep.
And Jameis, you never see him until the last second. He's a flash.
Exactly. Yeah.
He never has a chance to adjust and move up into the pocket.
Exactly right. And I think it's great really coaching. I agree. Whether it's Todd Bowles, Larry Foote, whoever gets the credit for it, it's saying we want to harness the best of Devin White, and we want to harness that speed and use it in the right way. But when we're telegraphing it, it gives that quarterback a split second to dodge that bullet like Keanu Reeves and the Matrix, right? Yeah. But when he's disguised, when it's delayed, he can kind of duck and tuck around Vita Vea. Yeah. The quarterback is just deer in the headlights. And I think that's why you're seeing these sack numbers and the sack percentage go way up for Devin White, who had 3.5 sacks last year. And going back and look at the film, probably should have finished with 7 or 8, if not for some of those misses.
It's like breaking a thoroughbred, right? You gotta take that wild stallion and just calm it down a little bit to make him into Secretariat.
That's right.
Devin loves to ride his horses, so that analogy works real well there. Hey, lastly, now we'll look ahead to the Packers, and obviously Mike's not going to play. I don't know if they can get Cole Beasley up to speed, this week, and I don't know what that says about Scotty Miller.
Yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah, I think it does. I think Brady's about done frustrated with Scotty Miller. Yeah. But this is a huge game. Obviously, it's going to have tiebreaker potential down the road for the number 1 seed, which is everything.
Sure.
So, it's a huge game. No Mike Evans. What do you think?
Well, you go back and look at the Packers, right? Last year, they got shellacked on opening day, 38-3. Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdowns, and everyone was just writing off the Packers. And then, of course, they only lose 3 games the rest of the way, finished 13-4 with the number 1 seed, right? So, Aaron Rodgers, now they're 1-1. They're trying to right the ship and get the 2-1 and kind of get back to that 13-4 realm. And I think the Packers, because they don't have Devontae Adams, they're still lethal with Aaron Rodgers, just like the Buccaneers, even though they're not at full strength with their weaponry for Tom Brady. They're still lethal with Tom Brady. I mean, give Brady credit for a money pass to Brashard Perriman there. Yeah. But the Packers do have some real balance the Bucs have to be concerned about. Aaron Jones is a hell of a back. We saw that last week. And A.J. Dillon, it's just a 1-2 punch. Tampa Bay has gotten a little bit loose with their run fits, especially in the first quarter of the last two games. And, you know, and when week one happened and the Cowboys finished with like 71 yards, you know, I think that kind of got swept under the rug a little bit because the score got so much that the Cowboys had to throw the ball to get back in it.
Yeah.
But the Saints topped 100 yards. So yeah. I think now I think Todd Bowles is going to drive that point home and say, no more loose lips here, no more sinking ships in the first quarter. We got to come out and lock down our gaps in the first quarter and be prepared to stop the Packers running game.
Great stuff as always, Scotty. Appreciate it. You guys got a lot of content coming up this week. You're killing it over at Pewter Report. Tell everybody how they can get everything and all your podcasts this week.
Our next Pewter Report podcast is Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 4:00. You can go to our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV, and subscribe and watch all of our videos and podcasts up there live or in the podcast format. Make sure you're logging on to pewterreport.com for all the Bucs news. We had a bunch of stories up, post-game coverage over the last 2 days and spilling over into today with the Cole Beasley news. And also follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report.
If you're a Bucs fan, you got to be there. Listen to all the podcasts. You guys do a great job. Very funny.
Appreciate it.
Very entertaining. I love it.
We try.
Yeah. All right, quick break. When we come back, Will Turner's going to join us. We're going to talk some college football as we do here on the JP Peterson Show. We love our college football. USF have what could be a turning point for their season in a loss to the Gators. So what do they have to do this week against Louisville? We'll talk to Will Turner when we come back. Stay with us.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT, 3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations at emerginginv.com. Our second hour brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical, BAMC.com. Chris Lugo was on the show last week, talked a lot about great nutrition and their weight loss plan over there, which they have a discount on right now. So go to BAMC.com if you're looking to lose weight, lean up, or looking for a new primary care physician. Chris Lugo and his medical team will take great care of you. Personalized medicine. Also brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, JeevesLawGroup.com. If you've recently had your car totaled and you don't think you got what you deserve from the insurance company, and they do that a lot, Jeeves Law Group is an expert in handling that type of case. So give them a call. It's a free call. Just go to JeevesLawGroup.com. You can email them or call them, and they'll tell you if you have a case. So find out, free call. All right, we want to bring in Will Turner from at Bulls247 and at WTurner247 on Twitter to talk a little USF football. What's up, Will? How are you?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Just getting in the car and heading over to Jeff Scott's weekly press conference, but it's
All
been
right.
pretty good getting back from Gainesville.
Yeah, that was, it's hard to say there was a turning point in the season that is a loss, but after getting destroyed by BYU and kind of an indifferent performance against Howard, USF, I think, was at a turning point in their season. Were they going to get blown out or were they going to fight? And frankly, I think you'll agree they should have won the game. They outgained the Gators. They out first downed them. I thought they were the better team on that night, but they just, they let it slip away. Too many mistakes. What are your overall thoughts of their performance?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It was one of those things in my mind where, a lot of people expected coming into the game that, Florida was just going to run away with it. That was a team that probably should have had some extra fire than they did after losing to Kentucky on their home field. And then obviously they've got a huge game at Tennessee this upcoming week. So thought that team would come out with a little bit more fire to try and get a little bit more confidence heading into that Tennessee game. Anthony Richardson was really a non-factor in that game, which was really surprising to me overall. In all honesty, it was one of USF's best games, if not USF's best game in the Jeff Scott era with the way they played, with the way they went into somebody else's house and played was just really, really impressive. It was completely unexpected. Like I said, it felt like the offensive play calling was open for the first time, so you could really see what they wanted to do there. The defense really had some nice stands there in the third quarter between 2 interceptions and 2 3 and out, on 4 straight drives. That was really good to see. Just a lot of positives across the board, even in a losing effort.
And obviously the running game, 286 yards on the ground, I believe, in this one. And I think Jeff Scott said after the game, this is the first time since I've been here that we played the way we're capable of. And does that mean, too, with the rushing game working like it did, this was the first game we can point to and say USF has an identity that they can use to try to win ball games against teams, at least in the AAC, when they get there?
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, I think that's, they've been able to consistently pound the rock, whether that was against Howard or whether that was against, Florida in their 2 really successful games. Brian Batty has, just been electric. He's very, very close to having a career year already. I think he's less than 100 yards away from setting a career high in rushing yards. He's already got a career high in rushing touchdowns. So he's kind of been the guy. And with Jaron Mangum, being out and being limited with an ankle injury, for Bat, it was just one of those, he was able to get more carries just with kind of the room being a little bit thinner, and he really got the opportunity to shine. There are also a lot more designed runs for Gary Bohannon, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah. Because this is a guy that didn't really run a whole lot, in his college career, outside of a few games that Baylor had 100 yards against Oklahoma. And we saw, just how good of a runner he could be. Yeah. It's some really nice design, quarterback runs, some draw plays, some motion and some read options for him. I thought that was really good to see. Like I said, I really am going to double down on the fact that I just thought that the offensive play calling was really, really well done, and I thought it was the best offensive play calling we've seen in these first 3 games.
Will Turner of Bulls247 joining the show, but just for the record, I told Nick last week to take the Bulls into 24.5 because I did think USF would be able to play with the Gators. So yeah, I just thought they were a better team than they've showed so far.
I had my UCF hat on, JP,
you did,
when
you
I
did.
said that. Sorry.
He's trying to make friends with all the people he's pissed off on the UCF podcast that he does. So I get it. But what's important, I think, now for the Bulls is that they build on this, right? You just can't come back and lay an egg against Louisville and go back and to the drawing board. They've got to build on this. Not saying they have to win the game, but again, they got to compete. They got to compete, and they have a blueprint for that now. And I thought Bohannon, he's got a great arm. He's a great thrower of the football, but he just does not look comfortable in his decision making right now. What is your take on the passing game? Because I think it can improve dramatically. They've got good receivers. Bohannon's got a great arm. It just seems like he's not comfortable in the scheme right now in his reads. How do you view it?
Yeah, nearly half of his passes were intended for Xavier Weaver. Yeah. And I get you want to have a featured guy, I get you want to have a wide receiver one, but you got to spread the ball around. Yeah. You know, and no, you know, discredit to Xavier. I mean, he's a guy that you want to be your feature wide receiver. He's a good possession guy, good downfield. You know, he can be your wide out one, and he has been. You know, so I don't disagree with, you know, throwing the ball to him a lot. You want to get the ball in his hands a lot. But, you know, at the same time, you want to make sure you keep the defense guessing. You know, I said it a couple weeks ago after the BYU game. I think I said it after Howard, too. It just doesn't feel like the timing is 100% there with a lot of his receivers just yet. You know, again, it's only game 3. Obviously, you want to have that completely ironed out before conference play. He is a better quarterback than what he's shown in these first 3 games. Obviously doesn't have a passing touchdown, has 4 interceptions. I mean, it's just he threw 7 last year at Baylor. So he's already, you know, more than halfway to his interception total from a year ago, which is concerning. But, you know, I think I think that area is obviously, you know, it still has a ways to go. I think he can get there and be productive. Jimmy Horn hasn't, you know, had a whole lot of receptions, but again, they've also been very close on a lot of the throws to him. And, you know, he was limited with the sprained ankles himself on Saturday night, so he probably didn't get a chance to do everything that he wanted to do in the receiving game. So, you know, I think, you know, he had Omarion Dollison wide open on the sideline at one point, just kind of overthrew him. Dollison tried to one-hand it. So, you know, you got to iron that out, catch football with 2 hands. You know, there's a few things that I think are on the receivers. You know, obviously the drops in game 1 and game 2. You got to iron that out. And the timing is just still not there. I think I can't really tell if it's getting closer just yet. But, yeah, it's definitely a concern heading into Louisville, just kind of because you don't want to be a one-dimensional offensive team.
I was going to ask about Jimmy Horn because I kind of caught it a little bit late last night and was trying to go through it. There seemed to have been there was some kind of discussion about an Instagram post. I guess it wasn't Jimmy Horn. It was a friend of his. It said something like "free my mans" or something like that. Could you just like go in, like, what was that? And like, you know, clear that up a little bit, because a lot of people were saying, you know, maybe spreading some misinformation or so about what's going on with Jimmy Horn.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that because goodness me, was that my morning before 12 on a Monday.
Yeah.
So Jimmy reposted something from one of his friends. I don't know if it was a friend from Seminole, where he went to high school or where, but you know, he posted or reposted it rather, which is, you know, it's a simple button click, right? You know, it's not a screenshot. You know, when someone tags you on your story, on your Instagram story, if you follow them, you can just hit a simple button at the bottom that says add this to your Instagram story. So what he did, and you know, it was simple, free 5, you know, something like that. But again, like I said, he was hurt, limited on Saturday night. You know, I think that, you know, he you know, obviously he hasn't, you know, had the number of touches that he had to start last year or to start this year. That's, you know, without a doubt, he needs to be more involved in this offense. But the problem is that they're, you know, obviously he and Timmy McClain were high school teammates. Right. McClain's now gone on to UCF. Right. And a lot of folks want Horn to take that same drive off up by 4. And the problem with this is the problem with this is the fact that he's still on a team and we're in week 4. Yeah. You know, so that's my overall concern. Like it's just, it is what it is. You know, I talked to the person that tweeted it, one of you know, my guys over on the 247 network. We talked it out. He and I are all good, you know, all that good stuff. But yeah, I think we're just kind of overreacting. I don't think there's really anything to it as of right now. I haven't heard anything to it. So, you know, that's kind of just where things are at. But I appreciate that chance to clarify because, yesterday morning was my phone was blown up again.
Well, I think he would be silly to do that because Timmy's not going to be playing quarterback for UCF anytime soon, throwing him the ball. So I'm not sure what good that would do him. And there's no assurance that he will ever be the starting quarterback at UCF. So, it's crazy kids these days. If they don't get the ball or don't have everything go their way and they're looking for a way out, he needs to stick and stay and be a huge part of this offense. And he can be a huge part of this offense moving forward. All right, Will, real quick before you go to the press conference there, just tell people how they can get your content, what you got going this week as they head up to Louisville.
Yeah, of course. So I'm flying up Thursday. Gonna get a little Bourbon Trail in before, but we'll go Bulls247.com is obviously the latest place to find my work and find what we do over there. Kind of finishing up Florida week today with some film review. Going to try and get that knocked out in the afternoon, and then we'll get started on Louisville. Obviously, a big test for the Bulls with a great elite quarterback, elite running quarterback in Malik Cunningham. I got a chance to see the Cardinals at UCF a couple weeks ago. I drove over there and got a chance to see him. So we'll have some content from that game for a little bit of a better insight. And and then at Turner247 is where you can follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, my Seminoles beat up Louisville pretty good, partner. So you're going to be taking you'll see a wounded team up there. So hopefully USF can get a big win. Louisville's going to be missing a lot of players, but that Malik Cunningham, yeah, good luck tackling.
Yeah, Tate Rodemaker, former USF teammate Tate Rodemaker saved the Noles, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he surprised me because I trashed him at halftime like everybody else. I had to do a mea culpa on Saturday, but that's how it goes, right? Thanks, Will. Appreciate it, brother. Have a good trip up to Louisville. All right, well, we'll jump right over. All right, we'll jump right over to our good friend TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy. What's up, TJ? How you doing, buddy? Welcome in.
Always good to be with you guys, enjoying the conversation, and hope everything is going well on a Tuesday. Do we have anything to talk about, by the way?
Anything going on with the Bucs? Any suspensions or new players?
I think it was just another ordinary day, another ordinary game. I mean, they could almost write a book on about half of that stuff that happened in the Superdome on Sunday, and I keep getting inundated. I went and got what little hair I have left on my head for those that can see us on video cut today, and so the woman that's been cutting my hair for years, she's talking to me about the fight in the game. Somebody that's down the hall heard us talking about it. He had to talk about it. The guy that cuts my lawn is as big a Buck fan as there is, and he also pays attention to the JP show and loves you and Nick. He's one to talk to me. I'm like, I got to get in and talk to JP and Nick on the show. It's great that I'm talking at the stylist and out front with the lawn, but we got to get in and talk about this on the show now and do it on the record.
All right, well, let's get to the fight first, because you were like, right in the middle of it. You were like, let's get ready to. I won't say.
No.
But you were right in the middle of it, and you were also on the sideline where Bruce Arians was chirping at the refs. You heard the whole thing go down. Then Lattimore's got to start chirping at Brady, and then it's a freaking melee. So from your vantage point, what did you see?
Okay, so understand that I was to the Bucs left of the sideline, TV right, because that's where the play was, where Brady threw it long to Scotty Miller, and then the no call happened on the interference, like in the middle of the Bucs bench. So I see Brady run by me with the handout, and I know he's going right for the back judge. That was not to come up and ask him if he's having a nice weekend. That was to come berate him on why did you not throw the flag? Yeah. And so I saw Lattimore saying something to the bench. It turns out it's Bruce Arians. And again, you're seeing different things on TV than I can see live with my eyes everywhere, because they've got 5 cameras with the number 1 crew showing you all the replays. It was interesting because I was right by Erin Andrews, and she's got her TV, the portable wireless TV that's mounted on the pole. So then I'm watching a lot of the aftermath of everything after the fact, where I could see Lattimore chirping at the Bucs sideline, them going back at him. I didn't know that at the time. All I saw was Lattimore coming at Brady. And not unlike the JP show, if somebody comes rolling up on JP, on FanStream JP, my man Nick Geddes is going to be in the way, just like Leonard Fournette, just like playoff Lenny, just like Sunday night Lenny, just like Superdome Lenny now. He is going to be right there. Nick Geddes is going to stand up for you the same way. So I'm now watching that whole thing unfold, and I immediately, first instantaneous thought, where is 13? Where is Evans? And then I see him out of the periphery, and he comes and blasts Lattimore, and here we go. So they did the same thing The previous, time in 2017, an incident ironically involving Jameis Winston. Jameis was out of the game. He had hurt his shoulder. He was out of the game. Lattimore's chirping at the bench the same way, instigating the same way. That's what started all of it in 2017. So everybody else knows the rest. Everybody else has seen the rest. I just have a question because I've been busy doing a couple of other things. So I assume Mike is going to appeal the suspension.
Yes.
And he's got a very compelling argument on why is Marshawn Lynch not suspended as well. Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lynch gets suspended too.
Marcus May as well. I mean, he's the one who Marcus May comes in and throws a punch and tackles Mike Evans. Yeah.
Yes. And Lattimore later, when everything is trying to be separated and the refs are in the middle, is throwing a punch at Russell Gage right on Fox's cameras. Yes. You can see it. I can understand that you want to sit Mike Evans down, but how are you not sitting Marshawn Lattimore down as well? I don't understand that one. You guys can maybe help me, but I don't understand that one. Anyway, there's my thoughts.
And then we have a conflict of interest because Runyon, who hands down the discipline, his son plays for the freaking Packers. And they're black. Guess who's coming to town? The freaking Packers. And James Thrash, the other guy who hands out the discipline, played with Runyon. And evidently, Derek Brooks is not being consulted on this whatsoever
because he played for the Bucs. And
we're just running around with.
We're going to have to keep. We're going to have to keep going down the list, and I don't know if I don't know what we eventually get to on who the arbiter would be on the appeal on this. And look, for these people that are bringing up, well, did we really think that John Runyon's taking it into consideration? He's the player's father, so first and foremost, he should have been recused from the process at the beginning. If you were sitting, if it was this is something to contemplate, Nick. Watch this. If you were Justice JP on your bench in a courtroom with the law, and God forbid one of your kids is now charged with something, they wouldn't let you be the judge in that case. Or if your kid was a witness in the case, they wouldn't let you be in that case. So I'm just saying, from a legal standpoint, the legal phrase is the appearance of impropriety. The mere appearance of impropriety means that they should do something else. It's the same thing with Brooks. Like, Brooks doesn't want Mike Evans to play against the Packers. Of course he does. So he's not going to hear the appeal. I mean, we know that. So there you go on that.
Here, you help me out now, because they're investigating other things in this, not relating to Lattimore. And apparently it's like Bruce Arians' involvement in this whole thing. Why is he on the sideline? And I heard what Todd Bowles said. They didn't give him a box or whatever. I heard what
they did not.
Said. So help me out there. Was this like a rare occurrence for Bruce Arians to be on the field?
So remember, this is only the second regular season game, and in the Dallas game, he was not on the sideline until maybe right after the game. And a lot of the time, Jason Light and the staff, part of the staff, are up in a booth or in a box. One of the things you have to understand, and I can articulate this, and JP, you've been in the Superdome. You were, I believe, you were in the Superdome in the stands for the Florida State game. Am I correct? But you've been in there. You've been in there a bunch. All right. First of all, the press box is up in the top, as I like to say, up by Jesus, up by the Lord, up in the top. You're all the way in the top. The second thing is your bathroom, and I don't know for the audience, JP, me. I'm just saying in the collective sense, your bathroom is bigger than the coach's box that they give the visiting coaches. And for all I know, it's the same for the Saints coaches that are kind of on the other side. So there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of room for extra people to be in there, is the point. So I can understand where they took the attitude of, we don't all have seats, so some of us are going to go down to the sideline. Now, it's up for the NFL to decide about conduct and whether or not you're saying anything to players. I mean, I saw Bruce Arians go over to Scotty Miller after one of those drops, and Tom Brady was so upset, and he was encouraging him down there. Again, he's a coach. He's a former coach, but he's the assistant to the GM. He's allowed to be where an official pass says he can go. So unless the league is going to curtail all of this, which, by the way, means owners like Jerry Jones and Arthur Blank and all the other owners that want to come and stand down there. And Jerry Jones sometimes comes down and stands down there in the first half of a game. And believe me when I tell you that it's not all the time encouraging the Cowboys from the Cowboys owner. Sometimes it's barking at the refs the same way too. So we'll see if the NFL does anything on this. I'm just trying to give you a little insight that the accommodations weren't exactly spectacular at the Superdome for Jason Light, his staff, and where they could sit and where they could be. And that's enough, because Jason Light is not typically on the sideline for a lot of games, but he was there for this game. And I think it's in part because they didn't have a booth. They didn't have a booth or a suite where they could be and sit and watch.
When I said this earlier, as Rick Stroud mentioned on his podcast, that they had some places reserved for front office people in the press box. And I said, well, I guarantee you, Bruce did not want to be in the press box.
Of course,
because they can't shut up. They're gonna talk about the game as they should.
And it's going to be R-rated and yelling at the refs from 575 yards away up high in the press box. You know that. And just to eliminate this for your audience, because I think you've been in that press box since they moved it upstairs. You've been in there a few times. It's all the way in the top. It's got like 4 sections, 4 different rows where you walk up and down the middle aisle to get to one of the 4 rows. And I believe they were in the top left corner of the 3rd row all the way up. But again, there weren't enough seats for all of John Spytek, Mike Greenberg, the salary cap guy, and all of the staff, Spencer Dial and all. There wasn't enough seats for all of them, and there wasn't a booth for all of them. So I just illuminate that for the audience on how you're trying to deal with all this if you're the Bucs and the staff.
TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy. That's why we have you on. You're right there. You're in the mix on all of it, baby. I love it. So the Bucs signed Cole Beasley this morning, a guy who's number 2 in the league in all of the NFL in slot catches over the last 3 years, I believe. The dude can play. He had 82 catches last year, 72 catches, something like that. So he's not coming in to be on the practice squad. Clearly,
wouldn't think so.
This was the GM, Mr. Brady, to the GM. Mr. Brady said we need some more receivers. What impact do you think he has on his team?
Well, and there's a couple of other factors too. He's going to have to learn playbook, going to have to learn terminology, etc. What kind of shape is he in? Because I don't believe he was in any training camp. Am I correct? So he was hanging out there waiting to see if there would be a phone call, and now it comes. And remember, we talked about this on your show, that after the first week, when the rosters are set and everybody's money's guaranteed for the year, you will see some of these guys now sign because they are essentially on a week-to-week situation here that's not guaranteed money. It depends. A team could give a guy a guaranteed contract if they're trying to make sure they get him and say, hey, we'll guarantee your salary for the rest of this year. So I'm not familiar with what they're doing with Beasley, but clearly that guy can make an impact. And we don't know, as we're sitting here on Tuesday, what's Evans's status with the suspension and the appeal. What is Julio Jones's status? Can he practice some later in the week? I can tell you that Chris Godwin and Julio Jones were both on the trip, and other people obviously saw them. Fox showed them on the sideline, etc. If they're on the trip, then that is a positive sign to me that they didn't stay behind for treatment, etc., that hopefully they can play soon. Does that mean Godwin and Jones can play this week? I don't know. We'll find that out. But you add Beasley to the mix. You certainly have Brashad Perriman that can still go get it done. I don't know what Scotty Miller's situation is going to be here moving forward. Maybe it's another one of those. He was inactive, remember, the first week?
Yep.
They were having to play him a lot out of necessity. Maybe he goes back and watches again. He's a young player. He's fast. Maybe that's what they choose to do here. So they've got to sort all that out, but you've got 3 or 4 days to sort it all out.
Oh, I think it's as simple as Tom Brady trusted him. I say trusted because I think that trust has gone after this past game, because there was tough catches that he needed to make, and he didn't make them, I think. And Brashad Perriman, the reason why he's still on the roster was because of what we saw in that game. Big body and experienced receiver, and he had that moment last year in the Buffalo game, which I thought was all he needed, honestly, to get on this team, and rightfully so. But what do you make of, no Gronk in the whole thing? The red zone offense has been spotty. The tight end production has not been great. I mean, what do you make of that whole position as a whole?
He's coming back,
They got to figure it all out, and we are on the record, I think, all 3 of us. Again, I will believe he's not playing if he's not playing still in October. We'll see. Interesting that Kyle Rudolph was inactive again this past week. So that's a numbers game. And again, I'm not privy to all the decision making, but some of that was extra wide receivers because of the injuries, extra offensive linemen. You ended up needing a 3rd string tackle. How does it factor in? I will tell you this. They love Cade Otton's ability to go down the field, not just block, but ability to run and go down the field more than Keefe, the rookie. Keefe is a bigger body, a blocker, not so much a runner to go down the field. Yes, Cameron Brake can go down the field, but Otton is younger. Maybe Otton can develop into that. We will see, but they're believing in some combination of Brate and Otton for now as we head into game 3 at being able to be a target for Brady on some different plays and some different stuff if you can get going.
Hey, take me on the field at the intensity and the speed. I mean, the speed of this defense is jumping off the screen. And listen, we've seen Devin White play. He's fast. He looks faster. The secondary looks tremendously better. They're catching the football. That helps too. I just see a defense, and I've been talking about this defense, as you know, since the preseason. I think they're going to carry this team this year. I think they're a top 3 defense in this league. What does it look like from ground level? Because especially the pass rush, it looked like it got on Jameson in a hurry.
It absolutely did. And it did so to Dak Prescott, even though they didn't get as many sacks. They harassed him and they created problems before he got hurt. So they look good. And you're right about the front 7 formidable. Now you lost Akeem Hicks in that game, but you have Nacho, who is arguably the most popular teammate on that, not just that defense, on the team. They love that guy. And he is a bulldog in the middle of that defense next to Golston and Vita Vea. And you've got Shaq Barrett on the outside, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka on the outside, Logan Hall, the rookie. You've got a lot of options on the front there. And in the secondary, here we go back to, Nick, what you asked about with Scotty Miller and playing time and who do you trust and whatever. Everybody's buzzing about Sean Murphy-Bunting right now isn't playing. He's active, but he's not playing. Clearly, that is a message on playing time is being earned. And we're going to go with the guys that give us the best chance to win, whether that is Antoine Winfield Jr. lining up in the slot, whether that's Mike Edwards lining up in the slot to play cover corner. Obviously, the coaching staff, Kevin Ross, the DB's coach, they are more privy to what we're seeing day in and day out, training camp, preseason, etc., and they feel like we're going with this lineup. Here's the other thing. You got to be ready, God forbid, if there's injuries. Right. So Sean Murphy-Bunting may get a chance here coming up, and in a way, it's watch, learn, wait for your opportunity again, because there may be an opportunity again. But this defense right now playing at a tremendously high level. When I will say this, it's easy for me to say, when they got the touchdown to Perriman, right down at field level, it was about 15 yards to my right that he caught it. All the players came running by celebrating. The game is now 10-3. I'm going, that's all this defense needs. Yep. This is like old school Dungy, JP. They may win this game 10-3. That is the score they needed, and lock them down the rest with the defense. You had that confidence, at least I did on Sunday. They're not going to let them get a meaningful touchdown to tie this game. And so there you go.
And being in the locker room after the game, speaking with the players, what was the vibe of just like, especially the guys who have been here, maybe that have been here longer and have just experienced all these losses in New Orleans?
Well, first of all, I believe we touched on this, but here it is again. 47th year of the franchise. You've never won the first 2 games on the road. You've had numerous chances to win both of them. It's happened like 7 other times, I think, where they played the first 2 on the road. This is the first time that's ever happened. And to win those 2 games against Dallas, a playoff team a year ago, Saints had a winning record a year ago, no Sean Payton now. We keep saying, we were saying this on your show, weren't we? That if you come out of this stretch of Dallas, New Orleans, followed by Green Bay, Kansas City at home, and you're like 3-1, everybody's like, great, take that. Take that if you're 3-1.
I'll take 2-2.
Well, now you're staring down the barrel of winning the 2 tough road games that you can be greedy almost. Can you win these 2 games at home and be 4-0? So that locker room had an attitude of, this is not the whole season. This is not clinching a playoff spot or winning a playoff game, but we just took a big step here early, winning those 2 road games. That was kind of the vibe, very businesslike. They did have the song back on that was the same song in Dallas right before I started to come in the locker room, and I can hear it full blast down the tunnel. And I'm looking at my producer, Kevin, excited. I'm like, we're going to go in there again with this thing on. Luckily, that song had ended, must have been the good luck song, and then we got in there to do the radio interviews. So there you go.
Well, all right, TJ, great stuff. I know you got to run the quick promo of all your content.
Hey, I still got a minute or 2 with you left. We're looking forward to the Bucs and the Packers. The Nothing But Bucs podcast is out right now on the Buccaneers mobile app. You can catch that full recap, highlights of Gene and Dave calling everything. Gene roaring on the Mike Edwards pick 6. As you can imagine from Jameis. Hear the highlights, hear the post-game interviews with Mike Edwards, with Jamel Dean, with Brashad Perriman, with Todd Bowles. That recap podcast is there after every game. You can find it there. And again, we're ready for the Bucs and the Packers on Buccaneers Radio. We'll be on the air at 3:30 with the pregame show. Other than that, we got crazy college football. We got crazy NFL. I mean, you got to appreciate just one time before I leave you here. I get to see one game. I'm not complaining. I get to see one game. They weren't showing very many, if at all, highlights of anything in the Superdome. They were barely showing the scores. it was not until almost 5:15 or 5:30 Eastern time when I'm done working, we got out of the dome and I got on the bus where I'm even aware of the Jets comeback or the Dolphins comeback, the craziness of those games. So I don't get to be a fan as much when we're working, but I mean, I'm not going to trade it. You get to work a big time game, but you don't get to see those other games like you folks that are watching on the Tube and the Red Zone channel and all of that. I'm on the bus going, you got to be kidding me that Cleveland was up by 13 points with a minute and a half left and lost the game in regulation. What did I see? Nick, you're the numbers guy. They had like a 99.7% chance of winning.
They had
blew the game.
Winning in under 2 minutes. They were at like the 12-yard line, and Nick Chubb decides to run in the end zone, and the Jets had 0 timeouts, so they could have just kneeled it out and won the game.
Yeah,
correct.
And won the game.
And then the defense on the Flacco bomb on the highlight, that looked like JP and me on Saturday trying to chase somebody going deep. I don't want to pull a hamstring on the Saturday backyard football. No, I'm not running after you. Go ahead and score. Go celebrate.
How about my Knowles' big win at Louisville?
They get that win. We had the USF Florida craziness.
Yes.
So
it's so good to talk sports in this market right now. I said it to open yesterday, man. I'm like, I'm
with you. We got the Rays. The Lightning will be here before you know it.
Media day tomorrow. Yeah. So we're going to get in the mood for it tomorrow.
Opening night. 21 days to opening night for a Stanley Cup championship run again. I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, you were in the very dark days of bad sports in Tampa Bay. So this
we both were.
Suck it up.
We were around. We were around for a lot of it. So enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's Tampa Bay. Good to be with you, brother. Let's see what the Bucs do with the Packers.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate that. Awesome stuff as always. We, he mentioned that call. We didn't play that yesterday, the Mike Edwards call.
Yeah, we played the Jameis to Perriman call.
Yeah. I mean, or Brady to Perriman. So if you have that, we'll take a break. Well, maybe we'll hear Gene's call of that, courtesy of the Buccaneers Radio Network. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll do a little college football. We'll get into the Rays as well. Very disappointing opener against the Astros.
And I'm calling you fans out today.
Yeah, we got
being called out today.
We got to. We'll do that when we come back. We are brought to you by Emerging Investigations, BAMMC, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Check them out, and we'll tell you more about them when we come back. Stay with us.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
Great concentration by Thomas.
Here they go again. Tempo mode, dropping to throw. Once it out, the gun throws to the left. It's intercepted into the 35. Outside the numbers to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15-10. Mike Edwards, touchdown Tampa Bay. That's the dagger, my friend. 4 takeaways by the Bucs, and Tampa Bay gets a pick 6.
Great call there by Gene Deckerhoff on the Bucs Radio Network, courtesy of the Bucs. Thank you so much. That's so good to hear. I can't believe this. It's not for sure. I talked to Gene the other day in the press conference at the press box at Dallas, and I was like, "You sure this is last year?" He goes, "We'll see. We'll see."
He's amazing. And I want
he sounds good right there.
He
boy.
sounds amazing.
And
because we're giving him the praise today, I also want to shout out the great Dwayne Stats, who called his 7,000th game yesterday for the Rays. I know you didn't watch much of the game, but he threw out the first pitch of the game, and they were showing some old school moments, including the first ever pitch in Rays history and his call and some of his iconic calls over the years. Some Joe
Wilson
McGrain.
Alvarez, ball one.
The Joe McGrain was in some of these clips, who I thought was fantastic, even as a kid.
Joe McGrain, loved him.
Nasty Boys in the studio with him, and some great moments there.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, the early Rays days were.
It's again, we're just blessed with great announcing in this market,
really
just
are.
across the
Really
board,
are.
radio, TV.
Really are. We are. Our game broadcasts are outstanding. I would say the local media maybe lacks a little. Hasn't risen to the Tampa Bay level just yet, but we're working on that. Folks. We're hopefully be bringing you a lot more sports talk on some local stations here coming soon to a radio or a stream near you. So, we'll see what happens. And listen, we got Mike Norvell, by the way, just said that Jordan Travis is being evaluated, so he may play this week against Boston College. We'll see.
I don't need him to. I don't.
No,
think.
I don't think so. Not the way Tate played
we
the other day.
got the gauntlet coming right after that.
Yeah,
take all the time you need, Jordan.
Yeah, I would think that would be misguided. And by the way, we're going to play a little Novell clip here in a little bit after we talk some Rays baseball. By the way, we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't. This is an insurance scheme, folks. You could have been shorted thousands of dollars. The Jeeves Law Group will take your call and a free case evaluation because your insurance may owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's free call. 727-894-2929. Just give them a call. Say, hey, this on the JP show. I had my car totaled a couple of years ago, and I don't know if I got what I deserved. You may have a case. They'll evaluate it for you and let you know. So last night, a 4-0 loss to the Astros. And Altuve gets it started off of Rasmussen last night with a bomb to left field. And once again, it's the struggle bus for the Rays offense again. And they could get nothing going last night. They had a couple of opportunities, could not come up with a big hit. Yandy failed in a couple of spots. Hel Ramirez failed in one big spot, but they just didn't get enough chances, to be quite honest. And, this is the bugaboo. The pitching was not bad last night. You hold the Astros to 4 runs, you should have a chance. And they just couldn't get nothing going offensively. And it's
and honestly, though, like the Astros couldn't get much going. They had one inning. They had one inning on Drew Rasmussen when they got him. And I thought that game was almost like a playoff game last night. It was played like one, very tight. And it felt like, you have to have one good inning. So I can sit here and tell you maybe the game was closer than what the score indicates.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 hits for the Astros. They weren't begging the ball. Again, it was literally just one inning. But the Rays, you get 2 hits off of Luis Garcia, who was giving me motion sickness last night. I don't know if you got a chance to see his windup, his routine when he throws.
So slow,
man.
BA mentioned on the broadcast last night when the pitch clock hits this dude, what's he going to do?
This was everything last night. It's like, you didn't watch much of the game. You watched football. And again, it was hard. It's hard to watch these games sometimes because football season comes. There's so much excitement in the Bills Stadium. I was watching that game, the offense. How could you turn that game off?
Josh Allen's my fantasy quarterback. Everybody's watching 2 games last night.
And
lots of fantasy players.
And then I go over to the Rays, and this is where I'm getting to.
It's a snooze fest, man.
Listen, we said this last week when the Rays came out with this deal, the 40% off concessions, parking, and tickets. All these Ray fans were so happy. Y'all were pleading for it. We were there with you. I'm not there with you anymore because where the hell were you last night? 10,000 people in the middle of a playoff push in September against the best team in the league in the Houston Astros.
Not bad for a Monday night.
And I'd venture to say every time the Astros did something, there were so many Astros fans in there. I don't know what they're doing here. I'm disappointed in you Rays fans. You wanted cheaper tickets. You got cheaper tickets. I got nothing good to say about Rays fans today. Don't give me this crap. Oh, it was Monday night. Oh, it's a 6-4. I don't want to hear those excuses. At some point, the excuses run out for me. There were cheap-ass tickets to go see the best team in the league play your Rays.
You checked the tickets, too, last night,
I checked the tickets because when that game came on, I'm like, there's nobody there. And I immediately went, and I'm like, the tickets are cheap. They're cheap for today. They're cheap for tomorrow.
What were the price numbers? Like $15?
$15 for the outfield and $20 to sit in the first level. I told you, $25 to sit right behind home plate in the second level.
That's good.
What are we doing, man?
Yeah, it's bad. We got to be better, but
I know how you feel about it. It's hard for you to separate the two. I'm just saying, if you love the team so much,
I can't give that guy any money.
I got it, but if you
location, Monday Night Football, school night, it's just that's a tough
for the natural fans though. But my problem is because you've been pleading for it, and even in the Texas series, 14,000 on the weekend in the Saturday game and the Sunday game. Come on, that's nothing. I'm disappointed in the Rays fans today. I just am.
Yeah. Let's see what happens tonight. It's no football. Tuesday and Wednesday.
Shane McClanahan's on the mound. Do any of y'all want to go see him pitch? Come on.
You know what? I'd love to go see him pitch tonight. I'd love to go to the game. By the way, if anybody's got a ticket out there for me, I'll go to the game with you. I refuse to spend any money and put any money in Stu's pocket.
So you won't go there and buy a beer or anything? You're just going to sit there, just buy it. You're not going to.
I'll buy a beer.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll get a. You just can't sit there and watch a game without a beer in your hand.
You don't sit there. You go to center field. You're a center field drifter.
I am totally. I love it out there. That's that's where the party people are, baby.
It's not in the party deck. That's not where the party is.
Yeah, the center field. I love center field. It's happened. It's a nice little vibe out there. In the left field seats. The little tiki bar areas. Those are nice. Yeah, I like that. That's a good vibe.
But again, though, this is where. But back to the game, though, it's like the Rays offense. This is where I have my concerns. Against good pitching, this team just kind of goes away. They just go away, and it's not going to let up because tonight you got Christian Javier, who's been on a roll for the Astros. And the game after that, you got Lance McCullers, who's been fantastic since he came back from injury. This is what you're going to see.
At home, by the way.
This is what you're going to see in the playoffs, right?
Exactly. That's what I've been talking about. Is you just don't have the offense that's going to consistently get you. Now, hopefully, honestly, I would love to match up with the Guardians. The Guardians, they're just like us. They got very little offense. They pitch it well. Maybe we can, find a way to beat them. But eventually you got to go play the Astros or the Yankees.
Right now,
I'm not scared about the Yankees.
I don't think it's going to draw that way because, what was it? If the Rays finished in the first wild card, did they get Cleveland?
No, they third wild card.
Third wild card. So they sit in the second right now. So you're almost hoping that the Mariners pass them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're playing either who you play. You're going to play Toronto then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to see Toronto. Yeah. I don't want to see Toronto. No. Is it 1-game playoff?
No, it's 3 games.
It's 3 games?
All in the road.
Don't want to see that offense.
Yeah.
In Toronto, I don't want to see it.
You just look, and that's why I have no postseason just like last year, where I said, it's great that we won 100 games, it's fantastic. You're starting 3 rookie pitchers. You got no shot, even against Boston. We said that before the season, before the series even started. You got no shot, and they had no shot.
Yeah.
This year, you got a great pitching staff. Your offense against good pitching is just anemic. Yeah. It's just anemic.
And can we get, I don't know where Tyler Glasnow is, but how many more starts they want him to get. But I watched some of his on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, he was good. He went 2 innings this time, 4 strikeouts, 31 pitches.
Maybe we can win in the 0-0 game. Can we win one without scoring a run? Is that possible? It's not possible.
No,
you can't do it.
I hope they get him back though.
Power,
pretty soon.
Consistent power costs money, and the Rays aren't interested in buying it. We had Smoltz on the program last week, and that's basically what he said. He said you got to, if the Rays were to combine their analytics and their pitching with spending money just to the league average, just get to 100 million. That's one bopper from where you are. They have the 6th lowest payroll this year, and it's just really hard to compete. Like Smoltz said, you got to do everything right. There's no room for error. And if one of your calculations, Josh Lowe, not replacing 106 RBIs for Austin Meadows, it doesn't work out, you're effed. And they're effed. So I don't have a lot of faith. Should we play a little cash? Is it even worth it? You say anything like to hear him complain about the offense?
I'd rather listen to Cash than honestly watch the game last night. So, we'll hear what he had to say last night as I just cue him up here.
And we'll get to some more Brady, maybe sneak in the Norvell that I want to do.
All right, Kevin, we know that Astros pitching is a tall task, but did it just feel like you guys couldn't capitalize when you got guys on base, 10 guys left on tonight?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, look, I thought we hit the ball pretty hard for the early part of the night. Brown came in and did a really nice job. All the pitchers did a good job. It felt like we squared some balls up, didn't have much to show for it. Got some guys on base early. In the first inning, 1st and 3rd, 1 out, like to find a way to score a run, if not multiple.
And then Drew, it's a tough lineup in the 6th. They seem to be seeing him particularly well. I mean, what did you see from him today?
They just kind of bunched it together. They are a very talented lineup, and when Altuve gets on base, he can create a lot of havoc and certainly can move. But you got to be mindful of him, and then also mindful of the guys that are at the plate.
Drew, did he look overall similar to last outing, similar to a couple outings ago? I mean, normal.
I thought he looked great. Yeah, really well. He was awesome. Just 6th inning.
Yeah, I just curious how you thought he looked. So. A little broken back. Just didn't help you, right?
Which hitter? Yeah, I mean, that kind of opened it up a little bit. You got to keep it tight. He made big pitches to Bregman right there. We get him out. There's some consideration to maybe put Tucker on and then look for a double play ball. But Bregman's a really good hitter, and he's got a knack for picking up RBIs.
Like Harold, maybe with the one guy.
Yeah, it was good to see 3 hits. smoked a couple balls the other way. That was really good.
Didn't get the one they needed though.
No,
when the other runners had 2 on and Harold broke him. And one of the big RBIs was a broken bat on Rasmussen. So yeah, he pitched well, but just when you can't score, it just, and even those guys in the lineup that just run into one, that's just something that they haven't been able to do. We played a couple earlier clips from Brady on his podcast. Which one do we have left here?
We have probably his most insightful answer here. Why he was so emotional and kind of went into like his difference of being older now and chasing perfection and things like that. So here was our last clip we had from Brady from the podcast.
Good question, and I think that I have this expectation of performance for all of us, and I know how good we can do it. And I know the caliber and the quality of player that we have, which allows us to be successful. And we've been that, and I just think there's a very high standard that we've all set, and I think there's a part of us where we all feel like we're capable of making every play. And that's not the reality of football. It's really not the reality of sports. Even in boxing, there was a great boxing match the other day. It's not like Canelo won every single round. In the end, you've got to be very satisfied with the victory. And I think part of that's a challenge. You become an older athlete. The frustration of not being perfect builds up where, normally when you're a younger player, you just feel like winning's good enough. And I think as you get older and you have a degree of success, you think perfection is what it should be. And unfortunately, that's not the reality. And I've talked to you about that in the past about being tormented by that aspect. And I think that reflection, and you get, as things calm down and you get to the evaluation of the film and you get to the evaluation of how the game really went, you do see a lot of the good things that happen. Our line did a great job yesterday. We had people step into the game that have not played at all for us, and they went in and did a great job. Our line did great. Leonard Fournette continues to have a great year. We had a lot of receivers come in that did some great things. So a lot of the things that I guess in the emotional aspect of the game that you feel this real frustration with, when you have time to let the emotions calm down and die down, you realize, wow, we did a lot of really positive things as well. And I think you can learn from that, and it could help you build a lot of confidence going forward.
You mentioned Canelo.
That's very interesting. He sees the potential in this team. We all see the potential in this team. By the way, go to my Twitter and queue up that Norvell speech. You can find it. I retweeted it. Pretty sure I did retweet it. He just understands how good this team can be offensively. I made an impassioned plea at the beginning of the show for Gronk to come back. You might want to check that out on the show in case you missed it. It was pretty funny, pretty fun, but also had some deep meaning behind it. He's just a better player with Gronk there. We're better in the red zone. Gronk can play. I mean, he can play. He's good to go. He hasn't lost like Ali Marpet down to 220. He looks good. He can come back and play. He's still in playing shape. He can do it. So we'll see. But right now, this team's going to win football games on the defensive side. They're good enough to beat the Packers with or without Mike Evans. We'll see if Mike Evans' appeals goes through. But I just think that the Bucs. I watched the Eagles last night. I think the Eagles are the second best team in the NFC. No question about it. We had Sal Pal on a few weeks ago, and I said I believe in Jalen Hurts. I'm not sure Sal Pal did. Maybe after last night he does. One game does not make a quarterback.
It's Kirk Cousins on Monday night.
Yeah, but Jalen played great.
He did.
He continues to improve as a passer. He's a very gifted runner, and he's a freaking winner. And the guys play, and that's a good Philadelphia defense. It's a good offensive line. They got to run. They've got it all.
Yeah. Is it here at the end?
Yeah. No, just at the beginning.
At the beginning.
The whole thing is fantastic. It's 7 minutes long. It recaps. You could do the beginning or the end, but the beginning is pretty cool too. This is Mike Norvell pre-Louisville game, the pregame speech. This will make the rounds. If you haven't seen it, you're an FSU fan, go to my Twitter.
60 minutes, you be you. 60 minutes, you be you. Play smart, no distractions. Focus on every play, understand the situation, communicate. 11 guys playing as one. Play for 60 minutes, let's go to work. Okay. Let's go. Our identity, our heart. Use that God-given talent. Play confident because you have earned confidence. You earned it because you work, because you invest. Playing physical. Every play. Don't give them one play off. You guys understand me? Yes, sir. Do it the right way. Do it the right way.
Oh, baby, we locked in.
No matter what happens, you respond and be your best. Guys, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to run out of the tunnel with you. go shine tonight. Go show the world the identity of this team, the character of this team, what you got inside. And go be your best tonight. Let's go climb tonight. I love people. I love people.
The intensity.
Chills. He's intense, bro. He's intense. You can go watch the end.
Yeah.
The end of that's really good.
I hate to compare him to Willie Taggart, but I just can't. I can't see Mr. Lethal Simplicity ever having that much intensity in a locker room. And you could see he said, we're going to show who our identity is. Mike, I mean, if you're a player, how do you not buy into that? There's something wrong with you if you're not buying into that, in my opinion.
I don't think people understand. You have to watch that whole game and watch the players that they lost, the caliber of players that they lost. You know, Rodemaker has just been awful. He found some type of confidence. Mike put something into that young man in halftime. It was a tremendous win. It was a character win. It was a culture win. And the LSU win was big. That was bigger. All right. Great show today. We really appreciate our guests coming on. Scott Reynolds today, Will Turner, TJ Rives. We talked a lot of college football. We talked a lot of Bucs. If you missed anything, download the app, FanStream Sports, all one word. Please go to our YouTube page and subscribe to that. You can watch it, listen to it anywhere there. Always on Twitter at FanStreamJP, at the JP Peterson Show. So many ways to listen to the show. Please retweet it and tell all your folks about it because we need more support to keep this thing going. We love you out there. The numbers are going up. Appreciate you. Great show each and every week. We'll do it 2 hours, Tampa Bay Sports. Have a great day, everybody. Go Rays.